boxing is not all box strength. I said, no. I said, he got to try to hit me. I said, no. I said, he's slow as Christmas.
What happens when one of boxing's most respected champions crosses paths with fighters who couldn't stand the sight of him? You're about to find out.
What a shot by Evander Holyfield! It was a twisting right.
Evander Holyfield, the warrior, the real deal, the man who conquered both cruiserweight and heavyweight divisions, wasn't just collecting belts during his legendary career. He was collecting enemies.
When you're a good boxer, you can box. And people who can box, other than boxing, can you take a shot?
Behind that choir boy smile and deeply religious persona lurked a fighter so competitive, so relentless, that he managed to get under the skin of some of the most dangerous men on the planet. We're talking about bitter rivalries that went way beyond the ring, personal vendettas that lasted decades, and bad blood so toxic it poisoned entire training camps. From ear-biting incidents that shocked the world
and some nasty stuff in there that lead to be a bite almost,
to behind-the-scenes betrayals that would make your head spin, Holyfield's career was built on more than just skill. It was fueled by pure hatred from his opponents. Some called him dirty, others said he was overrated. A few even questioned his heart.
Holyfield should knock him out within 2 rounds, maybe 1. But if I fought him, I would kill him.
One thing you gotta understand, you ain't no fear in me.
I'm gonna like this. I'm gonna have a good time in this fight.
We're in the hurt business. Yeah, I want to hurt him.
He knows what he's gonna get. He's good. He's a great fighter and all that, but you out of your league, man.
Today, we're counting down the top 6 boxers who absolutely despised Evander Holyfield. And trust me, the #1 spot will blow your mind. These aren't just professional rivalries. These are personal wars that defined careers and destroyed friendships forever.
1. Mike Tyson. When you think of Holyfield's most intense rivalries, Mike Tyson is the first name that comes to mind. This wasn't just boxing. This was a collision of 2 opposite worlds. Holyfield was the disciplined tactician, built on patience and precision, while Tyson was the predator who wanted to end fights in seconds. Long before they met, Tyson was the terror of the heavyweight division, dismantling opponents with frightening speed. Holyfield, climbing up from cruiserweight, was doubted by many who thought he couldn't handle Tyson's power. But the whispers only fueled his determination. November 9th, 1996, the night that changed everything. Tyson stormed out swinging, but Holyfield's chin, heart, and strategy held strong. He absorbed the early bombs, then started punishing Tyson with sharp counters, relentless body shots, and inside work that sapped Tyson's strength. By the 11th round, Tyson was worn down, and Holyfield's flurry forced the referee to stop it. The boxing world was stunned. Holyfield hadn't just beaten Tyson, he had broken the myth. But 1997 brought the infamous rematch. Holyfield's plan was working again, frustrating Tyson. And then, the bite. Not once, but twice Tyson sank his teeth into Holyfield's ear, a shocking act that ended the fight in chaos. Holyfield kept the win, but the incident etched their rivalry into sports history. Years later, they shook hands and even appeared publicly. But in the heat of those years, Tyson was more than a rival. He was a test of Holyfield's discipline over rage, honor over disgrace.
Number 2. Riddick Bowe. If Tyson was Holyfield's most infamous rival, then Riddick Bowe was his most personal. These 2 men weren't just fighting for belts, they were fighting for pride, legacy, and the right to be called the best heavyweight of their era. Their first battle in 1992 is remembered as one of the greatest heavyweight fights of all time. Holyfield entered as the undefeated champion, but Bowe, younger and bigger, came to make a statement. For 12 brutal rounds, they traded bombs in a war of wills. The 10th round was pure madness, both men staggering, both refusing to fall. In the end, Bowe's size and power earned him the unanimous decision and handed Holyfield his first professional loss. But Holyfield's heart couldn't accept defeat. In the 1993 rematch, he adjusted, using his speed, angles, and relentless combinations to outwork Bowe over 12 rounds, regaining his titles. The rivalry turned ugly outside the ring, too. Heated exchanges, trash talk, and the infamous Fan Man incident during their third fight in 1995, when a parachutist crashed into the ring mid-battle. That final crash was as brutal as the first, but Bowe stopped Holyfield in the 8th after a punishing right hand. Holyfield left the rivalry with 1 win and 2 losses, but the hatred during those years was real. Each man brought out the absolute best and worst in the other.
Number 3, Lennox Lewis. For Holyfield, facing Lennox Lewis was more than just a unification fight. It was about proving he could conquer the new generation. Lewis, the towering British champion, had youth, reach, and a jab sharp enough to cut steel. Holyfield, older and worn from wars, still carried the heart of a lion. Their first meeting in March 1999 was a tactical chess match. From the opening bell, Lewis controlled the distance, peppering Holyfield with jabs and right hands. Many believed Lewis dominated, but the judges shocked the world with a controversial draw. Fans booed, commentators called it a robbery, and Holyfield himself stood defiant, claiming he had done enough. The rematch later that year was different. Lewis fought smarter, faster, and more precise, while Holyfield tried to turn it into a brawl. For 12 rounds, Holyfield pressed forward, but the size and accuracy of Lewis were too much. The unanimous decision went to Lewis, unifying the heavyweight crown. Holyfield never hid his dislike for Lewis's style, calling it cautious, even cowardly at times. But deep down, he knew Lewis was one of the few men who truly outboxed him. The rivalry left no room for fake respect. It was pure competitive fire.
Number 4, Michael Moorer.
Evander, comes April 22nd, my brother. It's all gonna be business. When hammer and nails hit, it's gonna be a force, brother, and I mean it.
Michael Moorer was the man who took something from Holyfield that no one expected him to lose. In 1994, Moorer, younger, slicker, and a southpaw, stepped into the ring against Holyfield for the WBA and IBF titles. Holyfield started strong, even knocking Moorer down in the 2nd round. But as the fight went on, Moorer's jab and movement frustrated Holyfield, piling up points on the scorecards. After 12 rounds, Moorer won a majority decision, leaving Holyfield stunned. To make matters worse, shortly after the fight, Holyfield was diagnosed with a serious heart condition, leading many to believe his career was over. Moorer had not only beaten him, he had ended the legend. But Holyfield wasn't done. 3 years later, in 1997, he returned with vengeance. This time, he fought smarter, cutting off the ring and unleashing heavy hooks. In the 8th round, Moorer tasted Holyfield's power again and again until the referee stopped the fight. Holyfield reclaimed his belts and his pride. The rivalry was fueled by the sense that Moorer had robbed him of his prime, something Holyfield never forgot.
Number 5, John Ruiz.
John the Quietman Ruiz, 2-time heavyweight champion and first Latino ever to ever win the heavyweight division. And I'm here at the Hard Rock.
John Ruiz wasn't the most feared puncher Holyfield ever faced, but he was one of the most frustrating. In 2000, they fought for the vacant WBA heavyweight title. Holyfield, at 37, was seen as the favorite, but Ruiz's awkward style and constant clinching turned the fight into a nightmare. Holyfield eked out a controversial decision in the first fight, leaving Ruiz furious. The rematch was worse for Holyfield. Ruiz fought aggressively, landing a hard right hand that dropped Holyfield in the 11th round. Ruiz won the decision and became the first Latino heavyweight champion in history. They fought a 3rd time in 2001, ending in a draw, but the animosity never faded. Holyfield disliked Ruiz's style, believing he relied on holding rather than fighting. Ruiz, in turn, accused Holyfield of getting gift decisions. This was a rivalry built on irritation, controversy, and mutual disrespect.
Number 6, Chris Bird.
Now you've heard George Foreman and Larry Merchant, and I'll chime in with them, saying none of us will be surprised if the official scorecards are something considerably closer than Harold Letterman's.
matchup for an aging Holyfield, a fast, slick, defensive southpaw who could make even the most aggressive fighters look slow. In 2002, they fought for the IBF heavyweight title. Holyfield tried everything: jabs, overhand rights, body shots, but Bird's footwork and counterpunching made him miss again and again. The frustration was visible. Bird wasn't hurting Holyfield, but he was making him look ordinary. After 12 rounds, Bird took a clear decision, and the defeat marked the beginning of the end for Holyfield's time at the top. Holyfield later admitted he disliked fighting men like Bird, elusive, defensive, and unwilling to stand toe-to-toe. For a warrior like Holyfield, that kind of fight felt like an insult to the spirit of boxing. When we look back at Evander Holyfield's journey, it's not just about the belts he carried or the wars he survived inside the ropes. It's about the enemies who shaped him, the rivals who forced him to dig deeper than he thought possible. Mike Tyson brought out his fearlessness. Riddick Bowe tested his pride. Lennox Lewis showed him the next generation's dominance. Michael Moore humbled him, only for Holyfield to rise again. John Ruiz frustrated him but taught him perseverance. And Chris Bird reminded him that time spares no fighter. These 6 men weren't just opponents, they were architects of his legacy. Each one carved a scar into his career, but every scar became a badge of honor. Holyfield's greatness wasn't measured by being undefeated. It was measured by standing tall after defeat, by coming back when the world counted him out, and by never giving in to doubt, fear, or age. That is why they called him the real deal, because no matter who stood across the ring, Evander Holyfield never backed down. He didn't run from challenges, he embraced them. He didn't quit when his body said no, he fought on with his heart. And that's why his name lives forever among the immortals of boxing. So when you think of hatred in boxing, understand that for champions like Holyfield, hatred was never about bitterness. It was fuel. It was fire. It was the force that turned battles into legends and rivals into stepping stones of history. And maybe, just maybe, that's the greatest lesson of Evander Holyfield's career. Greatness isn't built by avoiding the storm, it's built by walking straight into it and coming out stronger.
Which rivalry shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash that like button if you want more boxing drama, and subscribe for the untold stories behind your favorite fighters.